Long ago, in a warm and bustling African kingdom surrounded by tall baobab trees and golden grasslands, there lived a king whose hunger for wealth was greater than his love for his people. King Odongo was known far and wide, not for his wisdom, but for his greed. He taxed the farmers heavily, collected grain from the poor, and stored everything in his enormous royal granary. While his people struggled to eat, the king's storehouses overflowed. Yet no matter how much he gathered, he always wanted more. Now in that same kingdom lived a small, clever spider named Anansi. Anansi was not strong, he was not big, but his mind was sharper than a hunter's spear. One dry season, when food became scarce and the people grew desperate, Anansi decided it was time to teach the greedy king a lesson. One morning, Anansi spun a fine silk thread and wrapped himself in dust until he looked old and weary. Then he made his way slowly to the palace gates. "I bring news," he croaked to the guards. "News of a treasure greater than anything the king has ever seen." The guards, curious, took him straight to King Odongo. The king leaned forward on his throne. "Speak, old one. What treasure could be greater than mine?" Anansi bowed weakly. "Your Majesty, deep in the forest lies a magical field. It produces endless food, yams, maize, millet without planting or rain. But—" he paused. "But what?" the king demanded. "It only appears to those who are truly deserving of abundance," Anansi said carefully. The king's eyes lit up. Endless food? Greater wealth? This was exactly what he wanted. "I am the most deserving man in this kingdom," the king declared. "Take me there at once." The next morning, the king, carrying sacks and baskets, followed the tiny spider deep into the forest. They walked for hours under the hot sun. "Are we there yet?" the king snapped. "Just a little further, Your Majesty," Anansi replied calmly. Finally, they reached a wide clearing. It was empty, just dry earth and scattered stones. The king frowned. "Where is this magical field?" Anansi pointed ahead. "It reveals itself only through a special ritual." "What ritual?" the king asked impatiently. "You must first prove your worthiness," Anansi said. "Place all your wealth, your gold, your jewels, and even your royal garments on the ground. The magic will not work if you carry anything." The king hesitated, but his greed was stronger than his caution. Slowly he removed his crown, his rings, his robes, and placed them in a pile. He even emptied the small gold pouch he carried. "Now what?" he asked. "Now," said Anansi, "close your eyes and call upon the spirits of abundance." The king shut his eyes tightly. "Spirits of abundance, show me the endless field." There was silence. When the king opened his eyes, the clearing was still empty, and Anansi was gone. The king ran back toward the path, but he was alone, barefoot, and stripped of his riches. It took him 2 days to find his way back to the palace. When he arrived, tired and humiliated, he discovered something shocking. While he had been gone, the people, hungry and desperate, had opened the royal granary and shared the food among themselves. For the first time in years, the kingdom was full of laughter, cooking, fires, and satisfied bellies. The king stood silently, watching. He realized something he had never understood before. All his wealth had never brought him respect, but sharing had brought his people joy. High up in a tree, spinning a web between two branches, Anansi watched the kingdom below with a satisfied smile. "Sometimes," he whispered, "the biggest lessons come from the smallest creatures." Moral of the story: Greed blinds even the powerful, but wisdom, no matter how small its source is, can restore balance and justice.